Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, our channel, Can We Talk with Monique? I am Monique. Thank you for joining me. And if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that little bell. You will be notified of all of my uploads and my podcast. Let's get into it. So as you can tell from the picture and the title, Narcissists and Money, Financial Abuse. So if you look at this picture, this is and I'm going to tell you, this is going to be some story time. I'm going to tell you a story about my experience with the narcissist and money and financial abuse. And a lot of us didn't even know what we were dealing with. But if you look at this picture, the gentleman is pulling his pocket out saying, I don't have any money. But in his back pocket, where you can't see, he's stashed cash away. So let's talk about this. I don't know if there are a lot of videos on this, but there were some videos about narcissists and love bombing. And a lot of times you will see when you first enter in the situationship with the narcissist that they will love bomb you and they will buy you things or do things for you. But that may not continue through the relationship. That may be initially just to get you kind of hooked and for them to capture you. Say, for instance, if you come from a really, really poor family and the narcissist is well off, they'll buy you things and do things for you in a whirlwind. But then when you get into a marriage or something with them, they'll hold back, want you not to work, and then they'll control the money and dole money out to you. I've heard of instances like that, and I've watched some videos where the woman said they, were stay-at-home moms and they would get an allowance and they couldn't get any additional money to do anything with, and it essentially turned into a very abusive, controlling situation. And so my experience, and this is not to dog anybody out, these are just my experiences. And I tell them, like I said before, this channel is dedicated to survivors of narcissistic abuse and people with who have been in toxic relationships, to bring awareness, to help give support, and to essentially let people know that they're not alone and that they can overcome being in these abusive relationships. One of the things that I'm really, really not pleased with, they talk about these terms, but they don't really say abuse. This is abuse, guys. If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, with a sociopath, with someone who's very toxic, they're very manipulative, and it's abuse. Okay, abuse is not always physical. It can be emotional and it can be financial. So let me tell you about my situation. It's indicative to this picture here. From what I can tell. And again, this is to just bring light to these situations. A lot of people don't talk about them. And heck, who has money right now to go to therapy? Sometimes these videos are people's therapies, and sometimes these videos are actually waking people up and giving them information that they never had before. So my situation was, I got involved with somebody very, very young. But there's one thing that I would recommend. If you are getting into a relationship or dating someone, you need to observe that person and how they handle money, what their idea of their financial outlook is, and how they handle money. Do they believe in paying their bills on time? Do they not care about paying bills? Is the finances important to them, to pay their bills, pay Caesar's things to Caesar and, be timely. You need to elicit that information, because if not, it can be very, very detrimental to your whole financial picture, especially if you have children and bring children into the world. And that's exactly what happened to me. The person that I was married to, and I'll talk about that in the next video because we are going through a divorce right now. The person that I was married to, we got married very young, but early on I started seeing a level of irresponsibility that, one of the things, they never liked to open the mail. They would never open the mail. So, prior to internet, everything wasn't done electronically. You had to literally open up your mail, go to the post office, mail stuff out, go pay your bills at the electric company, go to the phone company. This person never liked to open the mail. He never wanted to open the mail. So I found myself early on having to write. I would get a calendar, write stuff down when things were due. And I was a stickler for paying things. Like I wanted to, pay things. And then when I learned about credit, I wanted to keep my credit, in a decent manner. But as time went on, just the level of irresponsibility, it just got bigger. As, our expenses got bigger, the level of irresponsibility. They would buy the things that they liked and do the things that they like to do. But if I asked them for money, like I was the person who would take care of the bills and I would ask him for money, a lot of times he would say, I don't have it. I don't have anything. Or, I don't have enough. And that went on for a long, long time, to the point where I had to end up going and getting a second job to try to make our ends meet. I remember back in 2007, 2008, when the market crashed, we had one of those variable adjustable rate loans, and it had adjusted upward. And every cent we had 2 children. We're trying to pay a car note, house note, and I would ask him for money and he'd be like, I don't have any. And it was just really, really so abusive, to the point where I had to go and get a second job or work extra hours to be able to make the ends meet. And like I said, as years went on, I would come home, the mail would be taken out of the box or stay in the box, or be dumped right on the table and left there for days. He wouldn't even open the mail to see if something was due, if anything was due, and it continued on and on for years and years. Fast forward to about 5 years ago, the marital home was sold, and I moved someplace else and he moved somewhere else. But for whatever reason, his mail was coming to my home, and I would call him up and say, hey, your mail is coming here. You need to change your address. You got mail here. You need to change your address. And the mail would just sit here. It would be important stuff. I'd be like, okay, you got a letter from the IRS. You got a letter from here. There's a letter from here. It would just sit there for days and weeks. Sometimes he would come and get it. Sometimes he wouldn't. So after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep getting, it was the same, excuse me. It was the same, nonchalant attitude, like whatever. And finally, I was like, look, wherever you stay, you need to get your mail to come where you live. I am not going to go through my mailbox, sort your mail, call you never come and get it, whatever. So why I say that their careless behavior, attitude, there were letters that were coming from the IRS. Well, mind you, we've not lived together for 8 years. And these letters were coming, and I'm telling him, you got mail here. You need to come get your mail. He would never come. So one day a sticker comes, which is certified mail, and it's from the Internal Revenue Service. And I'm like, oh, shoot. The IRS don't come and send you no certified mail unless they want you. They'll send you warnings. He was getting warnings upon warnings upon warnings, and he owed taxes. And so finally they sent a certified letter. That's right before they get ready to do whatever they gonna do. So I called him on the phone. I was like, hey, there's a sticker here. You got certified mail from the IRS. You need to go to the post office and pick this up, because this is serious. I was going through my mail and just cleaning up and shredding that same a sticker. He never came and got it. What ended up happening was the IRS had got in contact with his employer and garnished his wages. So all that time and all those weeks, actually, I think the IRS has sent letters for maybe over a year. And I kept saying, you got mail here. You need to come get your mail. He would never come and get it. And when I finally opened it up recently, it was letters saying, you owe taxes, you can make a payment arrangement, you can do this, you can do that. But he neglected to do that, like he did throughout the whole marriage. Very irresponsible when it came to finances, even his own. And it got to the point where they put a levy on his account and garnished his check. So why is this important? To find out how people feel about finances, how they feel about their credit. It's because it can affect you. If you're married to a person and you have things together, be it a home, bank accounts, and different things like that, they can levy your property. They can levy both of you guys' bank accounts. They can levy and garnish your check. I think the check. I know they can levy the home. And I know they can, if you have a joint account, they can levy it. I had separated everything out when we left. He had his own checking account. I had mine because I knew he was irresponsible. And then also, as far as property are concerned, there was nothing with his name on it. So the IRS will do a search to check to see if you owe if you have property. And obviously they saw he didn't have anything, so they went and garnished his check. But they sent letters, guys, for over a year just asking him to get on a payment plan or what have you. But by the time he did that, it was too late. They had already garnished his check. So, but a lot of times they will say they don't have money. And the bad part about this whole situation is this man was working over the past 3.5 years. From what I can understand, he was working 2 full-time jobs and not paying any rents. So that's where this picture here, where this guy is saying, I don't have any money. But in the back, he has money stashed away. That's where financial abuse comes in, guys. And that's also financial abuse toward you, the wife or the husband. But it's also financial abuse toward the kids, because sometimes the kids will need things and they will, they're narcissists who are just so cheap. They won't even give money to help with their kids. And that was a situation that occurred with me. He would not contribute to anything as it relates to my sons, nothing. I can count on my hand one. I remember my son was graduating from high school, and I wanted to get just a used hoopty, a little piece of car, and he did not contribute nothing. I asked him, I begged him, and he would not give anything. And I, again, had to work 2 jobs and to try to buy my son a car so he could, we live in an area where you need to have a car, not like New York. You could get on the train and bus. Here in the South, you need a vehicle. So I had to work 2 jobs and try to provide my son with the vehicle, which, praise the Lord, I was able to get. But his dad never came to me and was like, here, let me give you half of the money for that, or let me, nothing. They're some of them are to one or extreme or the other. Very cheap, wants to control you, won't contribute anything, won't help with anything, feel entitled. That is the type of narcissist I live with. And then on the other hand, you may have those who are just very generous, but generous to what? Because typically when a narcissist is very generous, they want something, right? It's not because they really care or love you or whatever. It's usually sometimes during the love bombing phase when they want to get you trapped, or even in a relationship where it's just to keep you quiet and what have you. But financial abuse is real, guys. Like, some of these people are so irresponsible. They do not care about credit. I remember one time I was like, look, we got to pay our bills on time. We can't, I don't care. I was like, our credit is going to be ruined. That's all you worried about is your credit. I mean, those are the type, there's some of them that feel so entitled to what it is that you may have or may not even have. They feel so entitled. Some of them are just lazy and they don't want to do anything, or they will work, but they will hide money or put money places and you don't even know that they've hidden money. So they can be very financially abusive, because in a relationship, you typically try to share and help, raise the kids. And, if there's big expenses like computers and anything, big items that my sons needed for college, I had to buy them. He contributed nothing, but would always say, I don't have any money. And did not want to, would rather go pick up. He was the type of person who would, to make or try to get extra money, he would go pick up trash in the street and cardboard boxes in back of stores rather than go get another job. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a what can I say? It's not an illegal thing. But all the energy that was taken to get cardboard boxes out of dumpsters and take them back, by the pound, it would serve you better just to go get another job, or picking up like scrap metal in the street, trash, and taking it in to the recycle place. That was his idea, but it was never enough money. And I was like, guys, dude, I don't have time for you to go drive all across, Southeast and pick up garbage in your pickup truck. Then you got to go and take it in and get it weighed for us to be able to take care of our children. Go and find another job. But he'd be like, I don't have any money. I don't got no money. I ain't got no money. But I remember the day, some months before I escaped, because it was an escape from the financial and the domestic violence. And that's something that I do want to talk about, is domestic violence, because a lot of times we talk about all that the narcissist does, but we don't always talk about how it really always affects us. And we don't talk about the domestic violence a lot, or the financial abuse, or the mental abuse. So before I escaped, as a result of just the years of financial abuse, psychological abuse and manipulation, and the mask started slipping, just violent outbursts that really let me know that there was something that just was not right. And it's almost scary. Not almost, it is. But before I escaped, I knew that he was so irresponsible that he was never going to pay anything. Didn't pay gas or light, nothing. Nothing was in his name. Oh, he did have an electricity bill in his name, but he never paid it. So, yeah. And I think he had one credit card, a Capital One credit card, and he would never pay that on time either. So that went into a delinquency, and that was some years ago. And I was like, dude, you gotta pay your credit on time. But guys, a lot of you will always say, well, does the narcissist get its karma? Do they ever get back what they dish out? They do. And for every action is a reaction. So for somebody that's irresponsible like that, it eventually does catch up with them. And I'll talk about that a little. I'm going to have a membership, because I think it's going to be very much more detailed as to what's going on with me through this divorce process. And I'm going to take you guys with me, so that way you guys can get updates and see, and hear what's going on. And I'll come on camera and let you guys know what's going on. But yes, it does catch up with them. Somebody who's just irresponsible and doesn't pay their bills, it does catch up with them. Case in point, if you don't respond to the IRS and they just send you letters and you just ignore it and you don't come get your mail and you just do whatever you want, they will garnish your check. Okay. They will come and put a levy on your bank account. And that's what happened to him. So those are the things that will definitely happen as far as credit is concerned. If you just don't care about your credit, you don't want to pay your bills on time, and then when it's time for you to go and get an apartment or to purchase something, they're going to probably more than likely say no, because you just don't care. You have no care in the world about your finances, your kids' finances, my finances. And then do you guys see how it can affect you personally? If you're enmeshed, intertwined with somebody financially, and they're coming for them and you guys have joint stuff, they will annihilate your finances to the point where you're destitute and you can't get anything. And that's why I tried to keep things as separate as possible. When I started seeing he just would not even open the mail, I was like, oh my God. If stuff, I think there was a time when the mail didn't get open, and I said, I'm going to check and see how long. I'm going to wait and see how long he goes without opening the mail. Well, I did that one time, and one time only. The water got turned off. I didn't check the mail. I didn't open the mailbox. I just wanted to see. And it went on for like a month and a half. And in between that month and a half, our water had gotten cut off because I didn't see the disconnect bill that was in the mailbox. So after that, I never did it again because I was like, okay, if I don't check this mailbox and look through this mail and make sure things are up to date, it will detrimentally affect myself and my children who are minors. So somebody had to be the adult, but the amount of abuse that you undergo, it is astronomical. This person just out and out didn't care. And I have, like I said, I had mail here. We've been separated for 8 years, lived totally separate lives. He worked. I took care of my sons. I would ask him and beg him for money over the years. Can you help me with this? I need that. When I did get sick, he did pay a premium. I had life insurance and I had a major health crisis, and he did pay that. But it was almost like when I was sick, when I had the major health crisis, it was almost like he enjoyed me asking and begging. And I would always ask him, is it possible for you to help me? Until I get my money, I don't have this. He would never respond in text or say yes or no. He would call me back and be like, well, how much do you need? And I got to see what it is. And 3 or 4 or 5 days will go by, and it's like, oh my God, it was just this big pop in circumstance, this control, wanting to see me beg. So the grace of God, to God be the glory. Oh my God, my Heavenly Father, that after that health crisis, I just prayed that I could be able to get out of my finances. My finances, guys, was so tore up from the floor up. Almost had to file bankruptcy because of all the medical bills, and I'm still fighting my way out of that. But at the same time, we have to be wise and prudent when we get involved with people, because if their attitude, and his attitude from the very beginning was nonchalant, we come from meager beginnings. We both come from the projects, but paying bills and being responsible obviously was not instilled in him by anyone. So he got with a woman who was responsible and just kind of leached off of me for years, but did not care about paying bills at all. And like I said, I told you about how I just was like, okay, let me see how long he's going to go without checking the mail. And that went on for about a month. And like I said, our water ended up getting cut off. So I could not do that. You can't play those games. When you have children, somebody has to be responsible. So, and like I said, when I did escape, mail was still coming to my house for him. And I was like, come and get your mail. He wouldn't come and get it. So what made me think that he wouldn't check it when he was with me? He wasn't going to come and get it. And I was being nice. I said, I have it here in a rubber band. It would be all packaged nice. And it would just sit there. And finally I told him, I said, you know what? You don't live here. I'm not going to be playing, Mrs. Postwoman and sorting mail for you, and you don't even live here. This is not your place of residence. Wherever you live, let your mail come there. And then finally, when I told him that the IRS had sent a certified letter sticker, he calls me up and he says, can I come by? And I'm like, wow, what's going on? I got this letter from the IRS. I said, well, you need to call them and figure out what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So he came by for something quickly, and I saw it. He had the letter in his hand, and I looked at it, and I was like, you need to call them on the phone and let them figure out. I said, you owe taxes. That's probably what it is. You've been owing taxes. You just should have made a arrangement with them. And that's exactly what happened. He got in contact with them, and they were like, we're done. We notified you umpteen million years by mail. Now we're just going to take the money. And that's what they did. That is exactly what they did. So if they're irresponsible and we were still together, I would be impacted by that, because either his check would have been garnished and we wouldn't have money to take care of our bills or take care of our family. And that was the whole name of the game. He would, always pawning something, always pawning his tools or something. So it was always a lack of money, him saying he didn't have any. I could not tell you for the life of me what he did with his money. I don't know. To this day, I couldn't tell you. But when we are assessing and evaluating somebody to be a partner or a life partner or a mate, we need to look at what their thought process is on money, finances. Also look at their family, how their family deals with money. If they're always broke, if they don't never pay their bills on time, if they don't, you need to look at that, because those values or lack thereof, you'll see that in that particular person. If they're not a stickler, for being organized or trying to pay their bills on time, please, this man would never, when I say never, anything that was due, I was like, I need money because I got to pay this on time. Oh, I'll give it to you. And then I will say, okay, I need the electricity bill is $100. He would go to the bank and give me $70. I'm like, but I said the bill was $100. So it's abuse. It was always just to keep something going to, and it ended up, I just was working so hard throughout the marriage that, it was detrimental to my health. Check out that video that the narcissist will make you sick, because I was literally talking about myself in that video. So all of these videos that I do, guys, they're all from my own experience, and what I've gone through, except for a few of them. There are a few of them there. Let me see. I think the shopping one is mine. The STD one is based on what I have seen and have in over the internet. But for the most part, most of those videos are what I've experienced. So it's not anything I'm going by what somebody else said. I'm going by what I literally have experienced. And so the financial abuse is real. But if a person to be so irresponsible, it does catch up with them, because it did catch up with them. And I think, I don't know, but it may have caught up with them recently as it relates to maybe even getting an apartment. Because a lot of these apartments right now, with this COVID-19, if you had an apartment before, this fine. But trying to get one now with people's jobs that's kind of shaky, it would be hard pressed, And if I know in the Southeast, they do a background check, and they also do a credit check. And some places, if your credit is not so bad, they will work with you and let you do a deposit. But right now, if somebody's been very, very irresponsible and really has been trying to get over on the system and not, it will be very hard pressed for them to get an apartment. And I will talk about that. I'm going to set up a Patreon page, because I want to go and give you guys information about how this process is going with the divorce. But yeah, I really endured some really horrible financial abuse. It was really, really horrible. And it was almost so horrible to the point that, I saw the handwriting on the wall that financially, I would be financially detrimented. And because of the actual just blatant disregard for finances and anything, it cost me a lot. Because what happened was, when I ended up with my with my health crisis, and it was really, really serious, guys, I had to be out of work and all of that, because of the neglect of the marital home, and just not maintaining it or doing anything to it. When it came time to sell the house, I didn't get hardly anything. And if I was able to get more money, I could have been able to convalesce at home and not worry about bills while I got better due to my health crisis. But because that person was just very irresponsible, didn't maintain the property, there were all type of holes in the property and mold. I just had to sell the property for a very little amount of, a very small amount of income, but had they maintained it, I could have probably gotten $120,000 more, and that would have sustained me while I was going through my health crisis, and I wouldn't have, had such a tough time as far as my finances were concerned. But because it will impact you, and that's one of the reasons why, guys, we gotta be wise when we get into relationships with people. Not only learning about who they are, but who they aren't, and also understanding what their thought process is on finances. He didn't care about changing the oil. Like 3 cars we had, he would hardly ever change the oil. I'm like, are you going to change the oil? He burnt out 3 engines in 3 separate cars. So these things will affect you, because then you'll end up having to, go and finance another car or something, or can't get to work. So if somebody's just irresponsible, it's best just to leave them alone. Don't even get involved. Don't try to be Mr. or Mrs. Fix-It and try to help them with the bit. No, if they don't know and they're grown and they don't know how to pay their bills on time and their credit is like -2, just leave them alone, because they're just going to pull you down into the cesspool of mortgage foreclosures. Let me tell you something. We almost went into foreclosure so many times, and I was such a, if it was an average person, they would have walked away. I was not willing to do that. I was not willing to do it. They didn't, but this person just didn't care. So guys, be wise, choose wisely. It's okay to ask questions. Like I said, if their credit is -2, but they riding around in a Cadillac, or they don't have credit, or they don't have really a place to stay, leave these people alone. Women, find out who, that's the thing. My soon to be hopeful ex, soon, Lord Jesus, please let this thing go through quickly. Any woman that's going to get involved with him, they need to ask him, where's your ex at? Do you have a relationship with your children? Do you call your children? Where did you live before here? Confirm those things. Do background checks on people, because these people lie. I'm trying to think now, like, what is he going to tell a woman if he gets involved with one, like where he lived? He doesn't even call his children at all. Not at all. Not that they really want to talk to him, but he just doesn't care. To say even, oh, y'all good doing COVID-19, not me, them. There was no big blow up or anything, but they don't care. So, do your due diligence. Don't just, get involved with somebody, because like I said, what is he going to tell these people? If the person is not involved with their children, that's a red flag. If a person doesn't have a stable address or place to tell you, or saying they were staying with some friends or whatever, and you can't confirm it, that's a red flag. That means they're not stable. Okay? If they're staying in a hotel or staying, with some friends and they're 50 years old, something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. But they're riding in a Cadillac. That's something wrong with that picture. So that means that obviously they have some money somewhere. But financial abuse and toxicity, it is really real with the narcissist or toxic person, and it can affect you detrimentally. I want you guys down below, if you've had or been a victim of financial abuse, and what happened. Did you lose your house? Did your taxes, did you have to, check have to be garnished? I'm sure there's a lot of stories that I've heard on the internet where the narcissist has inflicted so much harm that the person was ruined financially, lost businesses, was homeless. I was listening to somebody's channel, and that's where they want to take you, to homelessness. They're so irresponsible, some of them. They will have you homeless and they will go about their business. They don't care about things. I was looking at some pictures the other day of our backyard, and he would get all of this scrap metal and throw it in our backyard. And, and I'm looking at these pictures, and I see a windshield wiper, a windshield from a car in my backyard with a bunch of junk. And I'm looking at these pictures, shaking my head, and the the memories of being in that situation came back, because I would always say, look, this is our home. We need to take pride in it. Why are you bringing a windshield wiper, a windshield from a car here? And why are you bringing this scrap metal home? This is not a junkyard. You need to do that stuff outside of the home, not at our house. So guys, be mindful. Check and see where people come from. Check and see how they live. If they live nasty, hoarding, don't care about anything, their whole family are a bunch of leeches and don't do anything, you need to be mindful of that, because that stuff is going to come into your life. If they don't care about paying bills on time, oh, I don't care, I'm going to pay my car note. Don't get involved with that. Because if you try to scale up or try to, buy a home, it's just going to be more headache for yourself. And it's going to be more pressure and stress, because that's exactly what happened to me. I'm thinking, this is my husband. We're going to grow. He's going to learn. He's going to follow suit. This man wouldn't even open up the mail, let alone give me money when we were together. And hell, you think you're going to get money after for your children after? No, they don't care. But what I will tell you is they will come after you in a divorce situation for you to pay them. And that is how I'm going to end it. My next upload will talk about the divorce. Okay? So, yeah, guys, let's talk down below. Have you ever had toxic financial situations with the narcissist, them holding back money, making you beg for money, just being really, really irresponsible with bills, not really caring? Let's talk about it down below. And guys, just know this channel is dedicated to survivors. We are survivors. We can get through this. You are not alone. All right, guys? All right. Like as I always say, own your life. And I'll see you on the next upload of Can We Talk with Monique. Peace, fam.